Hey you guys, got some more Venus battle footage here. Oh, actually just showing some of potting up Alan. I don't know why I left this in, but that's cool. And Alan's up to 21 million or so BR, and myself up over 22 million at this point. So this is sort of where I start to pass Alan, and maybe that will stay around for a few weeks worth of footage. And I think by then Alan will catch up, and he'll be stronger than myself now that he's back. And up against a player like Alvin, and Mimi is also quite strong, but for sure Alvin is the stronger of the two. So up against a pair like this, we're still gonna be super SOL. We're just not gonna cut it. You can sort of pretend to be in the fight for a little while with some shields and guardian runes and all of that good stuff, but then that's all gonna go to hell in a moment. But I still really like competing in this event, and by the end of the last video, we were ranked really pretty well, which is probably why we're up against an opponent we can't do anything about. And I'm not sure that really changes much, even though we took a loss there, and usually when you take a loss in this type of setup, you expect a weaker opponent. And in this case, for the first one, that does happen. These guys are at a super big BR disadvantage against us. And again, they can manage through the beginning of it, but we're getting through that Moon Titan pretty quickly. And they probably have, a lot of people, including myself, like to put the Guardian Rune last or fourth. So put that Guardian Rune towards the end and sort of be able to stick it out during the middle of the fight, which is, well, obviously we didn't get to that point. But like to put that Guardian Rune later. But against these guys, if they don't have that early one, they're not going to last too long. Here up against Nippa, something like that, and Joe Mama. And they're also ranked pretty high in, I think we're still in Silver Group. I did end like 20 points short of Gold Group before, which that was just due to me being dumb and not using our points very well, our Venus Blessing points. But yeah, so these guys are quite competitive themselves. I feel like this one might be one of our longer fights. See if I can see the clip sizes. Yeah, I just go look at the clip sizes for, I try to trim down the video so I don't show all of the stuff in between and whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I think this is one of the longer fights. Oh, so I lose Alan pretty early. So maybe I'm just trying to stay alive. I think that's all I can do, especially when they both have Odins. Usually 2 Odins would be a disadvantage against 2 Friggas, but since I wasn't able to use Alan in Sylph mode, that really is moot. Get the shield out. Oh, I actually do get that tsunami out. Alright, using this Q is a little bit iffy. I get lucky here and I actually get a little bit of healing back, but oftentimes when your opponent is in class mode and not in Sylph mode, the Sylphs will use these tiny little attacks until they ruin that Q. So I prefer to use the Q when my opponent's in Sylph mode, and it's a little bit easier to control and know what you're getting yourself into. Oh, so this is a tight fight. Oh, and I die on a deflect. This is far enough back that I forgot what happened. Oh wait, and I won? Oh, I won! Okay. Well, sometimes when you die on a deflect there, it goes either way. You're not really sure what's gonna happen. So everybody dies. Nobody gets to live in this fight. But yeah, I think, once upon a time, when I got deflected and lost, or I got deflected, when I killed my opponent, I would take the loss. So the person who gets deflected would be the loser, and it happened every single time, and there was no change in that. But whatever happened now, I don't know if it's a toss-up or there's some sort of tiebreaker, I don't know what it is, but now it's, the same situation. It'll look just like that, and the other team will get the win. So I'm not totally sure how it works at this point, but that's nice, it went in my favor. Another really tough opponent here, Beautiful Bod, but again, sort of like the situation which we've seen in my previous videos against Electric, where she has a much weaker spouse. So we're able to take Gamble out of the fight quickly. And even though Ellen and I are both weaker than Beautiful Bot, she probably has at least a few million BR more than either of us. We're able to compete against her, but we still got to be careful. She can still hit hard, so yeah, keep everything in check. Get Alan out of Sylph mode because he's much more useful as an archer at this point instead of as a Frigga, because he's going to deal a lot of physical damage. So immediately when I see a situation like this, and I have to be better about it, you know, especially when you're playing two tunes, you sort of have to think quickly, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. But yeah, so when I see a mage on her own, definitely need to get Alan out of Sylph mode and just dealing that big physical damage. And you know, with the Friggas, there's only so much damage you can deal. Actually, in both these cases, you just sort of use Frigga as, okay, I need to like shield and all this stuff, steal awakening points, and sometimes, you know, it works out with the damage. The Delphic and Tsunami can be helpful, but sometimes it's just really hard to close a fight with Frigga. A lot of the times I still see myself, you know, finishing fights as in mage mode. Even though I think mages are the saddest of the class skills, there's still enough where they deal a lot of damage, and I have to acknowledge that. Get out of Frigga. Go ahead, be in class mode. I think that's the one good thing about how they've changed the skills in the game as well, is because the class skills, even before knighthood now, but definitely in knighthood, because the class skills are so big, damage wise they're actually quite competitive with how strong the Sylph skills are, and that makes it less of a Sylph game. You know, it used to be you sort of just bide your time in class mode, and then you get into Sylph mode and you finish the fight in Sylph mode. Now it's less like that. I don't necessarily think it's that much better of a gameplay, but it's at least different. Here up against the Knight and Lord DH. That's just not working out. They also have no kids, which definitely means they're protecting against timer wins, and so, you know, whenever you see a team like that, and I've done it in the past, I'm positive I do it in the future. And that's when you take enough timer losses that you get pissed off about it, and you're just like, okay, screw it, gotta get rid of the kids, because they take a lot of damage. And they don't really do anything unless they're able to live through the first set of attacks. But even so, the really bad thing about losing the kids is just the awakening points. Oh, it is terrible. Like, the other protections are nice, but not super critical. But when you don't have your kids in the battle, like, you don't start out with them, you don't get any of the passives from them, and the general passives that help your character. And so those awakening points go away super fast, like lightning fast, and you're just like, okay, like, few skills and you're out. Whereas, especially with Friggas, you're able to usually stay in Sylph mode for so long, but not without the kids. I had some sort of amnesia rune or an amnesia titan on Alan. Oh, and he's out. Not much I can do here. Trinity is just super strong. I've beaten Trinity, I think, once in an Ares War fight, and that was only because she got deflected really badly. It was pretty great. I was very, very pleased with myself, but it was all luck. Oh, here's my buddy Electric. I mean, I'm sure she's used to losing fights in this for the same reason, which is that her spouse just cannot hold up. I think this is a little different, though. I know she likes using a Knight Kid sometimes in PvP, but to see her and her spouse both with Knights, just to use the Rage Steal, which is annoying, you know, it took out a lot of awakening, a lot of rage, and also the shields do help. I think it's all defensive stuff for her and her spouse. Oh, her spouse doesn't, so Susan doesn't have a ton of Titans, which makes sense. Has to be able to beat a lot of levels pretty much every day on Titan Temple, which can be pretty difficult. You know, Shock's tune, my former in-game wife, is maybe at the point. Oh, I'll have to try it on her. Maybe I can get a level of Titan Temple, but it is really a huge pain, which is a pity because the people who actually need the rewards from Titan Temple are not the people who can beat it. So, yeah, you really do need to get to a certain point before you can start really just getting through those Titan Temple levels very quickly, and then getting the new Titans. It is sort of a pity. I thought, oh yeah, it's going to be a great way for no cash players to be able to get those Titans, but I don't know. Hasn't really turned out that way. I mean, it is doable, it's just difficult. I mean, you know, it's not like they're running through and getting 8 levels of Titan Temple every time. That's just not realistic. 2 knights here again with no kid. I mean, not 2 knights here again. I was thinking about the kids. Don't see 2 knights that often. 1 Frigga, 1 Odin. You really don't see a lot of Thors in these situations. It is, even though it's only 2 players, not 4 versus 4 like before. Well, I guess if you include the kids, maybe it's potentially 4 versus 4. But 2 versus 2 really, and you just don't see a lot of Thors. You see 2 Friggas very often, which is what I have with Alan and myself. But otherwise, I think it's usually 1 Frigga, 1 Odin, or 2 Friggas. Occasionally 2 Odins, but I think that's a little bit dangerous as far as awakening points go. I really like having 2 Friggas here, but I think if Alan is around on a Sunday, which is not always gonna happen, I think that's not a great day event-wise for him. Or at least I don't see him on Sundays a lot. But if Alan's around, Alan likes to play with Odin. He much prefers Odin. I'm not totally sure why, but whenever I'm talking about it, he's like, well, if you want me to use Frigga, I'll use Frigga. But I think if it's all up to him, he'll use Odin. Or I bet he would like using Thor as well. So maybe if he's playing and I'm not boxing his tune, we can play 1 Frigga and 1 either Thor or Odin. I mean, I've definitely seen a Thor once in a while. It's just not very common. Oh, and there we go. Well, Legacy is very tough, and it looks like the spouse is also rough. I think knights are just so good in PvP. You know, yeah, it's a little bit harder if they don't have good starting rage. Like if they don't have a high clothing level, then it's a little iffy with the AoEs. But even then, I just think passive-wise and everything, knights really take the cake. We got there in the back, Marlena. Not sure I've seen Jean. You know, I'm always wondering if like time has passed enough that maybe there's a name change and I don't know somebody, but chances are it's just somebody who sort of made their way up, or, you know, paired with somebody strong and I don't know them. And it looks like Jean actually might be the stronger of the 2 players. What is that Delphic for? What is that S skill for Frigga that I don't use? I think it has something to do with awakening points. It's not actually, it looks like a wind Delphic, like the big Delphic for the wind sylphs. But that's definitely not, it doesn't deal damage. Maybe awakening points? Resistances? I'm not totally sure. It's nothing that I've ever equipped on one of my sylphs. We do get the win. Failure, success, failure. Was I just playing with my tattoo engraving? Oh no, that wouldn't be tattoo engraving. What would it be? Failure, success, failure. I don't know what I was doing in the middle of the video. Oh, it was probably Titan animation, which I don't know why I'm playing with that at that time. Maybe I was just looking through, changing around my Titans. Oh, my last fight, oh, that's why I'm crying, is up against Alvin, Alvin and Mimi, which is just super bad news for us. Maybe only a 1 moon Frigga. But really holds up well. I mean, not under the impression she's lower BR than Alan and myself, but maybe everybody looks strong with Alvin. He just takes everybody out before you can really get a feel for it. Then again, I mean, Sylph BR is almost completely negligent at this point. You know, all the BR is built up in the kids. You know, if I take my kids off, I lose more than half my BR. So my kid is more than 50% of my total BR. So it's really kids, and then Smelt equipment has made equipment such a big deal. And there, Alvin blows us away. Nothing we can do there. So still a pretty nice showing. We're 9th in gold group, and then I'm not sure, do I show diamond group? I do, and there are only 2 in diamond group, so overall we're 11th, so that's pretty nice. So next week, still going to have a lot of tough fights. We'll see how it goes. But thanks for watching, you guys. Plenty more to come. Take care, and have a very good day.